What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Mr. Almighty Lewis, back at you with another video. Oh yeah. And today we're going to be talking about how introverts are able to manage their emotions like a boss. Oh yeah. So if you haven't subscribed to my channel, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit that like button. And make sure you comment down below if you like this video or not, or you want me to make a specific video just for you. I'll make it. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started. So introverts are better at managing their emotions. So here's the thing about introverts. For the most part, introverts, I've said this in previous videos, but I'm gonna re-emphasize this in this one, which is introverts for the most part are very logical. So we operate mostly on logic than we do on emotion. So that's why we're able to focus so much on work. We're able to focus so much on tasks because we're very logical. We understand complex things, putting things together here and there, right, without involving so much emotion, which is why we're able to plow through hard work. We're able to do so many things and really push ourselves beyond our limits that most people wouldn't be able to push themselves, because most people are very emotional, especially extroverts. They're extremely emotional, so as soon as they start to push themselves, they start to do a little bit more. They start to feel pain, physical pain when they're doing some sort of activity, or emotional pain. For the most part, they just quit because it becomes too emotional to the degree that they just cannot keep going, because they're just scared that their emotions are just gonna attack them or something, right? Their emotions are just gonna take over them, and pretty much they just come to a halt, and they just don't continue because the emotions just get too extreme. So as an introvert, you need to understand that you have the capability of being able to manage your emotions far better than extroverts can, or most people out there, really. And so because of that gives you a little bit of a strength there to be able to go out into the world and do things that most extroverts just wouldn't be able to. Now sure, this comes at a cost, which is you will struggle connecting with people, because most relationships are based through emotion. And so because of that, you may go up to people, and for the most part you may find yourself being a little too egoistic. Maybe you come off a little bit too cold, too icy, too just monotone, and you just come off very dry, and people just don't find it funny. You come off very like just nobody really wants to talk to you. Maybe you come off a little weird, a little bit like you're just in your head, and pretty much people can sense this. And so for the most part, they'll just back away from you, because they feel this energy that you're kind of cold. There's not much emotion that's put in when you start to speak your words, because for the most part it's probably very logical. It's all very structured as far as your communication goes. Believe me, I have this too. And so for the most part I have to really take a pause after I'm working on something, like really I'm really focused. I have to really snap out of that and be like, okay, let's get back to the present. That way I'm able to have a normal conversation with someone, because if I just transition from working really hard on something on my computer here, maybe I'm making a video, and then I go on to just talk to someone, it's just going to be very weird. I'm just not going to be able to do it, because I'm still in my head. I'm still zoned into that video, that when I'm with that person, I can't be present with that person, because I'm still thinking about what I'm doing with that video and stuff, and I want to get it done, and because it involves a lot of logic. And so it's very easy as an introvert to get carried away by logic and not really necessarily focus too much on emotions. Now, does that mean that you're going to be heartless? Does that mean that, you're not going to feel any emotions or stuff like that? Well, no, actually introverts do feel emotions, but for the most part, because it's infused with logic, it actually kind of becomes a little bit dangerous to some degree, because we become very logical as far as wanting to get what we want when it comes to the emotional spectrum, which for the most part what this leads us to do is that we try to attain things all the time through logic, and some stuff, it's possible. Like I said, you push yourself, you're working on a project, you plow through that emotion, you continue doing this step-by-step process that you have to do, and if you push yourself enough, you're going to get what you want. However, this doesn't necessarily work with things like human relationships, where there's a lot of emotion involved, which in essence, those things you have to kind of let them run naturally. And the thing is that because we're so logical, we try to impose a specific process, a step by step into, like I'm going to build a connection with this person by saying this first, and saying this, and saying that, and saying that. But that's just not how it works, because when you come off that way, it comes off sort of like with an agenda, and the other person kind of feels like, okay, like this person has it planned, like what's this person up to, because it sounds like he already knows what he's going to say next, and there's like a sort of like a script, that's being delivered, as opposed to just you having a genuine, conversation with the other individual. And so, that's the only person, that's the only place, where it kind of backfires, to be a little bit too logical. But in other instances, this is great, because like I said, you're a very hard worker. This is going to be amazing, because you might feel a little tired, you might feel like stressed, you might feel pain left and right. But if you're able to focus, if you're able to find a passion, something that you really love, you're just going to go at it. You're just going to go at it full on, even if things hurt, even if this and that, you don't feel motivated, this and that. This is why introverts for the most part don't need motivation, because motivation is emotional. And because of that, we don't really need it. Like I said, we don't really connect with emotions. So because of that, we don't really rely on motivation. We don't rely on those emotions, because we have logic. And logic is associated with discipline, which is perfect, because as an introvert, if you're able to reside and really connect with discipline more than motivation, you're more likely to be successful, because discipline is really where the success is, not motivation. Motivation is just motivation. It's just a little bit of a rush of excitement. It's just a little drop of adrenaline there. But discipline is key, because discipline, that means that you are able to still perform the necessary tasks that are required from you in order to get the job done, whether you feel like it or not. Maybe you feel tired already, but if you go out there and you put in the hours to do what you have to do, you're more likely to become successful and actually get what you want, as opposed to the person here who wants to do the same thing, but because they don't feel motivated, then they don't actually take the action, and they have no discipline. They're less likely to get what they want, because they're not taking the necessary steps. As opposed to you're taking the necessary steps. Now, yes, you're taking the necessary steps in a condition which, you may be tired, you may be stressed. So who knows, maybe those actions, are not necessarily the best. You're not going to perform at your peak, but at least you're taking action. As opposed to this person who's waiting for the motivation to come is taking zero action. So this person has 0% of probability of actually succeeding or advancing in some sort of way, because they're not taking any action. You, on the other hand, you're taking some action. And yes, the action may be good or bad, but at least there's a percentage there, based on, how you do what you're doing. A percentage might be like 50, 60, 70% probability that, that's going to lead you into something huge. And so, it's better to have those odds, the 50, 60, 70, as opposed to having zero. So that's the thing right there. Introverts are able to manage their emotions much more properly. And because of this, use this to your advantage. If you're an introvert, use it to your advantage. Put yourself in situations where, most likely they're very emotional, and see how you're able to really handle them, and really, be able to stay strong and be able to, handle things, because as an introvert, you can make quite of a difference, because like I said, you can push yourself beyond the average person, meaning that you can actually bring value to people who are very emotional. You can either serve as someone, people can go to get grounded, meaning that, because of this, people can come and actually, open up, which is part of being a very good listener, actually, because a very good listener, I'm a very good listener. I'm a trained listener. I actually trained myself, and I got to make a video as to how, you can become a very good listener, not just good, but also trained listener. But part of that actually comes from me knowing that I have that emotional resilience. And because of that, I can actually listen to a variety number of people, and they can tell me their problems, they can tell me their issues, they can start crying in front of me, and I'll still be solidified, I'll still be strong, and I'll still be able to deliver something and be able to handle, what they're throwing at me, because I'm emotionally stable, as opposed to most people most people cannot handle it. Somebody wants to try to open up to them and try to tell them like emotional things, they'll pretty much try to cut them off as soon as possible because they cannot handle it. They may do this consciously or subconsciously, but they're like, oh no, like, please do not tell me that you experienced some sort of abuse or you experienced somebody dying and stuff like that, because that's just too much, right? Me, I'm pretty chill. They tell me something like that, and I'm like, I understand. Okay, you went through that thing. Okay, how do you feel? Okay, what are you doing about it in order to overcome it? What part of your life has it really affected you? Have you sought any help in those areas? Are you being currently affected? Is there like a passion you're trying to pursue, and this specific event is actually affecting, that specific pursuit? And what has to be done? Can I help you? Can I tell you something? What can I insert? What can I inject? What kind of philosophy can I insert here and there to make it to make you embrace what you just went through, and at the same accept it, and at the same time be able to move forward in a very positive way? And so that really comes down to being able to have that emotional resilience. So just look at the many benefits you can have also from having that emotional resilience, because you're able to do things that most people would not be able to. Most people would just not do it. Most people would procrastinate. Most people would just, put it aside, not want to confront it because the emotions are just way too high. And so, you just kind of start going crazy. Now, of course, doesn't mean like introverts are completely icy. Of course, you as an introvert, eventually you will experience things like, depression. You might go into like some really crazy emotional roller coaster. But, the chances of you coming out of it as an introvert are much higher as opposed to an extrovert. Because, like I said, introverts are very used to just, focusing on their work. They're used to being alone. They're used to being, to solving things pretty much internally. And because of that, you're able to process things much better. Now, because you're watching this and you've been exposed to my channel, your chances of mastering your emotional resilience is even higher now, because you're actually educating yourself now. Because, as an introvert, you have this naturally, but if you are aware of it and you're actually able to practice it, properly, then you will be able to do amazing things with that. But you have to learn it. You have to become aware of it, and then you have to go out there and actually implement it and practice it every single day. That way it really sticks to you, and you're able to really put this emotional resilience to use. That way, you're able to provide value for yourself, and of course for the people that you want to provide value to, whether that's your small circle or that's pretty much anybody else, who maybe you're starting a business, you want to help a specific demographic, or maybe you're at a class, maybe you want to work at a specific company where you want to deliver value to that company, and at the end that company will be able to deliver value to whoever they provide value to. So it all works, it's all value driven at the end of the day. So yeah, so make sure you understand that, make sure you know that to the core. And pretty much know that you have this emotional resilience within you. You're able to handle emotions much better than extroverts can, and much people out in the world. And yes, like I said, there is some cons, there is some pros, but you work with what you got. You're an introvert, so make sure that you work on those pros and that you tap into the full potential of those pros. And yes, the cons will be there. And of course, there is workarounds for the cons, which, I will share with you in this channel. Things like communication, things like, being able to, really connect with someone, maybe connect with someone deeply may be a little bit hard just because, you're very icy and you're very like you don't like to open up as much. You don't like to be vulnerable because, that just kind of feels weird. I know what you mean. So, in this channel, we'll speak more about that. And so, yeah. Well, thank you very much for watching. I hope you now understand how valuable having emotional resilience actually is, and that you're able to apply it into your life. And so, yeah. So make sure you subscribe to this channel. Make sure you hit the like button, and make sure you comment down below if there's something that you want a specific video made by me. Make sure you leave it down below. Make sure you let me know what you think about this video. And of course, there's going to be videos here so you guys can watch more of my content. All right. So I'll see you guys in the next video.